Alright, what's up YouTube? Captain Jiggles here, coming at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This time is going to be a kind of a meta-relevant topic, actually. Kind of. Given. I will say kind of because it's not really that meta-relevant. It's the Pot of Desires spell card. Now, most of you who don't know, anybody who doesn't know, Pot of Desires, you banish the top 10 cards off your deck. Face down, you draw 2 cards. It's basically more or less a pot of greed for the decks that don't actually have very specific hinge cards. Like they don't, require certain cards to work and having to have all 3 copies to work. But this deck does, so it won't be running Pot of Desires. But this is a deck that basically punishes and would possibly put 60 card decks back up without that grass looks greener decks, because they're going back down to 40 again. They might actually go down or back up again to 60 cards just because it's a counter to this. So this is a zombie-based deck, and I will be going in order of the copies, which ones you can replace and which ones you can't. So, for instance, this one, definitely replace these. These are Pyramid Turtles. This is an older version of the deck. It's basically a mill deck, which does end up helping out your plays quite a lot. Since the zombies love being in the grave, they love, having their stuff. But this isn't a mill yourself deck. This is a mill your opponent deck. So it basically it'll become clear when I get to the end of this. But 3 of the Pyramid Turtles, I would substitute all of these for Gozukis, but I just don't have them because they didn't come out until after I had made this deck a while ago. And I've seen the deck. I've re-looked at it. And yeah, that seems like the only thing that really needs to be updated is a couple of monster changes, as well as some of my casual picks getting thrown out. Because obviously, I made this deck for fun. Then we have, if you can't see it, 3 Zombie Masters. This is mainly your main, summoning without the Gozuki and the Mizukis, which Mizuki's right there. But yeah, these are secondary. Fuel your grave. Fuel your plays, basically. And then next, of course, is the Mizukis. 3 of those. Now, I think that rounds up the... Oh, no, there's a couple of other level 4s in here. But yeah, these are your main monsters. Yeah, Gozukis, Mizukis, and Zombie Masters. Obviously, the Turtles are, just old cards that I have to have. So that's the main support part of the engine, I guess to say, that are 3 ofs. Then the main playmaker you want is soul-absorbing bone towers. Now these things, in case this is an old card, so you probably won't know, but every time you special summon a zombie while one of these is on the field, it'll mill 2 cards off the top of your opponent's deck. And if you have all 3 of these out, that makes it 6 cards a time you special summon. So if you special summon anything from Mizuki's effect, Pyramid Turtles effect, Zombie Master's effect, anything that's zombie that gets special summoned will immediately trigger a 6 mill immediately. Which is very good because all it takes is 5 special summons to get them down from 40 cards, like give or take, to 10 cards, which is like 30 cards at max to mill. Next up we have 2 ofs, which are Spirit Reapers, battle protection basically. I'd probably run like Ghost Ogre or whatever hand traps instead of these. Again, I didn't make this deck with hand traps in mind because I didn't really like them at the time. Then there's the Kasha. I think it's Kasha. Yeah, Kashas. These things are good because you special summon them. You basically, in case you need to evacuate your monsters, like like anything really, like at the end phase, you know that your opponent's going to probably dark hole or something like, or next turn you think they have a dark hole, or they have something to remove your bone towers. You'll immediately just pull your bone towers back and get a free 6 mill again, or just mill them for the rest of it and then just end your turn, like because the bone towers won't matter after that. And now we're going into the 1-ofs. These are obviously, so most of these are probably replaced. Well, 2 of them are replaceable for sure. I just didn't feel like putting them out because I kind of like them. This one's not so much. Goblin Zombie, good searcher, basically not unexpected. No one ever thinks you're gonna play a Goblin Zombie really. Here's one of the casual choices I have. Patrician of Darkness. I'd like it. It's just fun, just like haha. You're trying to swing at my main monsters, for instance. Looks like for instance, they managed to negate a bone towers and you only have 2 on the field, and you could just use this to say, no, I'll just sacrifice my patrician so that way, you know, next turn the effect's gone and I can still use my bone towers effect. Another pretty much you want to get rid of card, Vampire Dragon. It was good, you know. If you special summon so much, you'll most likely have a normal summon for this card, but its effect is kind of meh in my opinion. It doesn't really do much. So, you know, one of those. And next we have Red Eye Zombie Dragon, and of course the main man himself, Plague Spreader Zombie. Like I said, Patrician of Darkness, the other Vampire Dragon, you could probably sub in for one more of these and something else that would probably work out. Hand traps maybe, because that would make Spirit Reaper with 2. Yeah, you could probably side in 3 hand traps, but the main idea is to get 3 bone towers out on the field so you can immediately start milling your opponent out. So, for as far as the spells go, I run 2 MST. It'd probably be something else. I think there's another destruction card out there that I forget the name of, but it's a better card than this probably. But the main playmaker, Zombie World. Even when everything that comes onto the field becomes zombie, and that includes for Bone Towers effect, because DNA Surgery also has the same ruling. So basically anything you summon now after this is up, it'll immediately count. And I think even your opponent's monsters would count towards Bone Tower's effect. So that would be really good. So basically your opponent's trying to get a monster out to deal with the plagues or the Bone Towers, but they're actually just destroying themselves basically by hastening the inevitable. Book of Moon, or not Book of Moon, Book of Life. I get those mixed up because they're all books. Obvious revival card, not much else to say about it. Next up, the main way of getting your monsters out. What you special summon 1 Bone Tower, you activate Infernal Reckless Summon, you get the other 2 out, and you immediately start milling. And that's basically the 3 ofs and 2 ofs. Then I of course run 1 Dark Hole, 1 Foolish Burial, and 1 Regeki. Now I'd probably sub in the Foolish Burial with like maybe a Soul Charge if I needed to swarm more late game. It's all about, you know, this is basically a guideline video on how this deck would actually work. The traps, for instance, are very appalling. I'd probably sub all of them in for Solemns of any kind, Strikes, Judgment, and a Warning, because I think there's only 5 here. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I just would only do like 1 of each and call it good. But yeah, Dark Illusion, Damage Condenser, Double Call the Haunteds, and a Mirror Force. Obviously, that Mirror Force, meh. Call the Haunteds might be the only 2 I might want to keep out, and the other 2 would be negations. So 3 negates on board with however what combination you want. Probably 1 of each. 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Solemn Strike, 1 Solemn Judgment, or you know, just to make sure you have something worthwhile. And again, I don't have link monsters, so I'm not going to be able to show you exactly, you know, how this would work, because with the new link summoning mechanic, it actually doesn't affect you nearly as much as you'd think, because all you'd have to do is start getting monsters out that just require generic 2s and would point, you know, diagonally downwards, like yeah, so let me see if I can do this. Like that, not straight down, but just, you know, off to the sides downwards, so you can just summon 2, and then you could do the left and right ones and just completely flatten the field. Also, I would probably suggest you always do the Bone Towers on the opposite side of the mat that you want to do your others in. So, you know, you could juggle a lot of link monsters with this deck, I'm sure. You got to know how to do it. Me personally, I haven't done link summoning very much, so as far as the extra deck, it's not a full extra deck because obviously link monsters are a thing. So played 2 Pilgrim Reapers just because of the fact you can XC summon. Stardust, negations. You know, Insector, or Powered Insectron? Yeah, Insectron. It's just a thing to make sure that if you have something that needs to be taken care of only by battle and it's matching, you could use it. It's something, just an extra 6 in case they keep on getting rid of your stuff out of your extra deck. In case of emergency, I run Star Eater. Basically, in case you have a lot of stuff in your extra deck that's been put out, and then you have to get rid of all your monsters on the board for some reason, that's actually a pretty good, decent option. Because I think all 3 Bone Towers makes 9, and then level 2, yeah, Plague Spreader would make 11. I think that's what that is. Then we have another playmaker, which is Iron Chain Dragon. Basically, every time it attacks and destroys something, it gets to mill even more cards off the deck, which really helps a lot. And then, of course, you have your standard, the revived King Hades, and the Doomgazer Dragons. There we go. And as far as link summoning goes, I mean, there's examples of this, like getting your Plague Spreader out after you get your Bone Towers. So, what is it? There's so many plays this can make that it's almost ridiculous, really. If you have the right setup, you could probably just get out at least 2 to 3 link monsters at once with your Bone Towers still out there. And you can just keep going off and off and off. I mean, zombie players are kind of like Infernity players. They take forever to take their turn because they do so much in their turns. So, you know. But it's much more active, and it is a very fun deck to play. And I don't know if there's any other better ways of getting Infernal Reckless Summon to pop. But, I don't know. I mean, anybody who's seen this video, just, you know, try and experiment. I mean, I was thinking about maybe putting Kaijus in this thing or something like that, like, to make sure that they don't have anything good for Infernal Reckless Summon, since like turn 1 or something like that, you just get rid of whatever they have with a Kaiju and then pop Infernal Reckless Summon. They have to select their Kaiju and they won't be able to summon it because they have no copies. So, unless of course they do, but that doesn't matter because, you know, you're just going to be milling them. You're not going to need to battle them, really. Just, I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this is an insightful and, you know, general all-around good deck for you guys. Maybe just to challenge your friends with, or maybe, heck, improve it enough to make it competitively viable and maybe take a couple locals. Who knows? I mean, I would say locals is as far as it would get unless you're like some sort of god at, you know, modifying decks, or the deck was just needing 1 or 2 cards to make it good in right now's format. But yeah, just like I said, if you know your locals is going to have a ton of players playing, you know, Pot of Desires, it might be a good option to run. It may actually force them to remove some of their consistency in order to take you out. It's a possibility. I can only assure that. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Captain Jiggles, out.